In Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 11, 353, another important character gets eliminated, and the show is improved as a result of this decision. Everyone is finally on the same page regarding the death of John Dutton, which is precisely what the show needs to propel itself into the final set of episodes. 2 significant deaths in 3 episodes is exactly what the show needs to catapult itself into the final group of episodes. As a result of this information being made public, the first Taylor Sheridan program will be able to return to doing what it does best, which is to engage in explosive confrontation. Case Dutton devotes a significant portion of 353 to the investigation of his hypothesis that John was murdered, as well as the actions he takes to demonstrate that he is correct. However, there is also a side order of political troubles when Jamie Dutton realizes too late that someone else taking over the governor's office isn't actually beneficial for him. This is a problem because it is a political problem. At the conclusion of the episode, there is still another reason to be excited about the remaining episodes of Season 5, despite the fact that there was a lot of lease talk and political foolishness. The mystery surrounding John's death was something that Yellowstone could only get away with for a limited amount of time. Fans who were waiting for the characters to catch up with what they already knew would become frustrated if the truth was prolonged for an excessive amount of time. This would only make the Dutton family appear to be as ignorant as possible. As a result, Case Dutton is able to reveal the truth to the general audience after only 2 episodes of the show's speculating and contemplating. In a manner that is reminiscent of Dutton, Case pursues his suspicions by showing up at the office of the medical examiner, requesting that she re-examine John's body, and then ensuring that he witnesses her do so. Through the course of the investigation, the 2 of them discover evidence that John was restrained and drugged, which ultimately led to his death being reclassified as a murder in the public eye. The significance of this event cannot be overstated because it marks the beginning of the true story in Season 5 Billion. In the first 2 episodes of Season 5 Billion, the focus was on re-establishing conflict and working through the process of grieving. On the other hand, there is no longer anything that can be considered an obstacle in the way of answering the 2 very obvious concerns that need to be answered: who will be held accountable for the death of John Dutton, and what will happen to the ranch. Not just because of his position as livestock commissioner, but also because of the honest nature of his personality, Case is the ideal character for this situation. The facts of the story are nothing more than what he continues to repeat. Despite the fact that the moment in which he uses one of the coroner's helpers as a visual aid is humorous, there are no asides for drama that is not essential. It is important that the audience is able to follow up with every step of the process, especially when a significant portion of these sequences are devoted to discussing essential information regarding John's passing. It is also interesting to have Yellowstone go back and revisit the actual moments leading up to the murder, this time showing audiences what actually occurred. A trio of black work operators who were sent into the governor's mansion took John by surprise while he was sleeping. And then they dragged him into the bathroom and staged his suicide. It is not necessary for the series to return to this topic. It might have given the audience the opportunity to fill in the blanks, especially considering that it only brings their attention back to the fact that Kevin Costner is not the actor in question. However, there is something that is a little more tangible about it, and it is this that just generates a genuine tension very close to the beginning of the episode. The 11th episode of Yellowstone's 5th season features the murder of Sarah Atwood, and her absence will be keenly felt. In point of fact, the sequence in which she passes away is not particularly shocking. The automobile that is pulling up alongside her is plainly seen on camera, and the 2 operators who are acting as if they are random passerby are not believable in any way. The only person who is truly stunned by the screenplay is Jamie Dutton, who is on the phone with Sarah at the time of her death and immediately goes to pieces, albeit it is equal parts for her and for his own liability. If the script was striving for a particularly jaw-dropping moment, Jamie Dutton is the only person who is truly surprised. There will be a range of attitudes among viewers on the question of whether or not Sarah and Jamie had true feelings for one another. However, one thing that cannot be disputed is the outstanding performance that Wes Bentley delivers in the last minutes of the episode, when Jamie betrays Sarah and then mourns her passing just a few minutes later. Jamie Dutton wants to know, "What the fuck have you done to me?" On the other hand, Sarah has always been the kind of character that people either love or despise, and it was necessary for her to pass away in order for the story to continue. When it was revealed that John had been murdered, it was only natural that the unknown individuals with whom Sarah had engaged would immediately begin the process of having her murdered. To not do so would be an unrealistic expectation. Additionally, the character had reached the end of her journey. There was a limit to the amount of encouragement and emotional manipulation that she could perform. Even in the sequences that she has left with Jamie, she is essentially just repeating herself, reminding him about the brutal realities of politics. The sequence in which Jamie and Sarah strike each other out of fury is not comparable to the scenario in which Beth slaps Jamie in episode 9. Because Sarah is not even close to being as intimidating of a character as Beth is. In addition, because she is not present, Jamie is forced to rely on himself, which is something that he has not demonstrated to be very adept at. There have been other instances in which he has exhibited a character that is changeable, whether it be with her, with his late father, or even with Beth. Who is Jamie Dutton when he is not required to follow the instructions of another person? It will be quite interesting to see how Wes Bentley manages to develop his character in the episodes that are still to come. Whatever the outcome may be, Jamie is determined to finish his story on his own terms, regardless of what occurs. That is going to be a lot more interesting than what has been going on in Season 5 up until this point, to be honest. The entirety of the political sequences in 353 is the most lacking aspect of the film. Everyone who possesses common sense already knew that Jamie was going to be taken advantage of by the lieutenant governor as soon as the other man became governor. However, it turns out that this entire situation was a false threat when Jamie discloses to Sarah that the only person who has the authority to disqualify him from anything is a judge. In a brief scene, Clara Brewer, who had previously worked as John's assistant, makes a direct request for a position to Senator Lionel Perry. This scene provides a hint at the possibility that Clara will once again be relevant in the future, given that she is no longer obligated to preserve confidentially. However, it is about all that is worthwhile about all of the political back and forth that has been going on. There is a possibility that some members of the audience are sick of listening to all of the dry discourse about taxes, leases, and easements. I am Beth Dutton. Is it possible for us to sell it, or do we risk losing it? There are no additional choices available. In spite of this, there is a common adversary on the horizon, as the newly elected governor has announced that the state is acquiring land through the use of eminent domain. Despite the fact that Beth and Jamie's conflict has been extremely amusing, it cannot continue on indefinitely. Whether it be politicians from the state or the nebulous enemies that Sarah hired to assassinate John Dutton, the show has the ability to employ a variety of additional antagonists. What is even more intriguing and melancholy is the fact that a number of individuals expressly state that at least a portion of the Yellowstone National Park is likely to be lost. At this point, there is not a shred of doubt in anyone's mind that the land that John Dutton desired to maintain in his family will either be taken away or sold. Considering that the entire main premise of Yellowstone as a television series was to conserve the ranch and what it meant to the Duttons, this is upsetting. Nevertheless, even Beth, who is known for her tenacity and fieriness, is admitting defeat in this regard. Within the context of Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 11, the characters are bolstered in their defense against new dangers, while at the same time, things and people that are no longer required are eliminated. It is the ability to do both that makes it stand out in people's minds. On Sunday evenings at 8 p.m., Yellowstone may be seen on the Paramount Network.